Well, ladies and gentlemen, after the announcement yesterday from the Cleveland Browns about their potential new stadium in Brook Park with the brand new renderings, I thought it would be a good idea to update the future stadiums of the NFL. We've got a lot of them opening, with one opening in 2026, one opening in 2027, potentially two or three opening in 2028. And then, of course, there is speculation about other ones, but we will begin in 2026. This stadium is already well under construction, over a year under construction, with the foundation already dug out. It is the Buffalo Bills' new Highmark Stadium. It is the only open stadium on this list in terms of future NFL stadiums. It does have a very nice exterior, and it does also have an overhang, which should be able to trap some of the heat from the stadium inside, and it will also protect the fans from some of the elements, but obviously the field will be completely open. This is going to be very rare, the Bills having an open stadium, because of the trend. We're going to get a lot of stadiums in the 2030s and 2040s that become domes, and the Bills, obviously with this being a brand new stadium, it is going to be here for at least, you would think, the next 30 years in New York. So construction is already underway, and it will be opening the fall of 2026. So in essence, the Bills will be playing at their current stadium this year, their current stadium next year, and then they'll move into the new Highmark, which is basically diagonal from their current, which is also called Highmark Stadium. I think they're just keeping the same name, which is kind of always a pet peeve of mine. I mean, if you get a new stadium, why not get a new naming sponsor? Just start fresh. But if you got a contract, I guess they're just going to stick with it. Either way, that is the next new stadium opening in 2026. Another stadium that's under construction, and the only other stadium under construction right now, is the Tennessee Titans' new Nissan Stadium, which is going directly next to their current home, which is also Nissan Stadium. It's going in the parking lot, and then in between the new stadium and the river where the old stadium was, they will be building up an entire district in that area, which is kind of what a lot of these teams are doing, with multiple buildings surrounding and also green areas as well. When it comes to this stadium design, it is very unique. It almost looks like one of those modern mega mansions from the outside, and then the inside of it, a little bit less unique. It does have the translucent roof design, and it does have a very simplistic interior seating design. Kind of reminds us of Allegiant Stadium and some of the other domed translucent roof stadiums that I'm going to be talking about, but that will be opening in 2027. The construction right next to the current Nissan Stadium is underway, and a lot of people do like this stadium's exterior as like the best new stadium that's opening because it is so unique. So there is that one opening in 2027. The next one, we do have the Jacksonville Jaguars. Technically, it's not a new stadium, but it basically is based on the exterior. They are building up a big translucent chrome retractable roof design that's going to cost $1.4 billion. The timeline for this stadium includes construction beginning after the 2025 season. There's going to be a reduced capacity in 2026 at Everbank Stadium. So there's going to be construction in 2026, but they're staying at Everbank and playing there. And then in 2027, they will have to relocate for a single season. Whether it's Gainesville or Orlando, we don't know, but they will be relocating in 2027 as the major construction happens within the stadium. And then it will be fully complete, and they will move back to Everbank Stadium in 2028. So this is titled the Stadium of the Future, with a nice chrome exterior design, and it is well over $1 billion. By the way, when it comes to the prices, the Bills Stadium is around $1.7 billion, and the Titans is around $2.1 billion. The reason the Bills is less than the Titans is because it doesn't include a roof, and this stadium construction is $1.4 billion, mainly because all of the seats are already built. They're just adding on a big translucent roof with a crazy exterior design when it comes to the Jaguars, but that is coming in 2028. Whether or not you want to call it a new stadium, or, I mean, technically it's the same seating design, so you can't really call it new, but if you look at it from the exterior, it's going to be completely different. There is no doubt about that. The next potential stadium opening, it is the Chicago Bears' new Soldier Field, which could be located just south of their current Soldier Field. They're trying to open this by 2028. There have been a number of hangups. They did release the new renderings back in early April, but right now there is a lot of murkiness surrounding this project. As we know, the Bears have flirted with Arlington Heights. We just saw the Browns potentially go to Brook Park. Could the Bears also head to a suburb? We will see. This situation is still very much up in the air, and it has been reported by the politicians within the city that there will not be an agreement until at least the start of 2025. So the timeline is, if they want to open this by 2028, the new stadium, which, by the way, a lot of people are saying it's very cookie cutter-esque, it's very boring, it's like all the other translucent roof stadiums, and I agree to a point, but I will say it does have a massive window with a great view of the skyline of Chicago looking out, so that's one thing that is cool about it, but other than that, yes, it is very average. The timeline is they're going to have to come to some sort of agreement. The total cost of this project could be around $5 billion. The stadium itself is around $2.2 to $2.4 billion, and they want the public money to be basically half. A lot of the politicians don't want that in Chicago, so it'll be interesting to see what they decide. But they would have to come to an agreement by the summer of 2025 and then break ground then to get this stadium open by 2028. And then they would knock down Soldier Field and turn it into fields and a park and an area for fans to kind of walk around surrounding the stadium like a nice green area. So they're trying to open that by 2028. Another stadium that's trying to be open by 2028 is the new Cleveland Browns domed stadium in Brook Park, right next to the airport. It is south of Cleveland, and it is a very unique design. This was just announced yesterday. It is a translucent roof, but it's a different type of translucent roof at an angle, and the interior seating is certainly different, with a massive wall of seating that would be the new dog pound right behind one of the end zones, along with the stadium being built into the ground because it's right next to an airport, with multiple different access points to the stadium and kind of a ranch design that stretches pretty far on either side. They're also planning to build up hotels, bars, and potentially residential areas surrounding the stadium, considering there's really not a lot of infrastructure in Brook Park, and people, if they're going to be coming in for major concerts or maybe a Final Four or a Super Bowl or even just a Browns game, they would need the accommodations like the hotel. So I do think right now, based off of what Jimmy Haslam, the Browns owner, is saying, this will be open by 2028. Now, it's not even a guarantee that they choose this. They could still technically try and do a renovation to Cleveland Browns Stadium, where the city of Cleveland proposed around $460 million in public money to renovate the stadium, but they're not adding a roof. Haslam would pay the other about $550 million. It would be around $1 billion renovation. But based off of the dialogue, most Browns fans want a new stadium. They want a dome. They're tired of dealing with the cold weather right next to Lake Erie. So it does seem like this will happen for around $2.4 billion. The total cost of it's going to be significantly more because of the surrounding area that needs to be built up. This used to be a Ford plant. They knocked down one of the big engine plants, and now they're trying to build Cleveland Browns Stadium on what is currently unoccupied, abandoned land. So I do like that design, and we will see if that ends up happening. I would say there's a higher chance right now the Browns Stadium is open by 2028 rather than the Bears, although technically both of them could still be open by 2028, both of them being translucent roof dome stadiums. And then you also do have the Kansas City Chiefs possibly also getting a translucent roof dome stadium. The opening date on this is completely unknown. It probably wouldn't be, based off of the lease right now with Arrowhead Stadium, probably wouldn't be until at least 2029 or 2030 in terms of it opening. We don't even know if this is happening. It's just the Kansas side of Kansas City really wants to lure the Chiefs from the Missouri side, and they offered them a very good funding package with about 70% of the stadium potentially being paid for through public money. The cost of the stadium around $2 billion. This is as bland and as cookie cutter as you could get when it comes to a stadium. We probably need a new design here, guys, let's be honest, but we will see if this ends up happening. They are still deciding between potentially renovating Arrowhead. Originally, they lost that vote in terms of paying around $800 million in public money for a renovation. They still could go back to it because Arrowhead is a stadium that's beloved in the NFL, and it would be sad to see it go. but this potential new stadium would have a surrounding district. And again, it would be on the Kansas side of Kansas City if it does happen, but that would probably not be until maybe 2029 or 2030. And then the one team that, believe it or not, is not getting a new stadium, and this is probably the most ridiculous plan of them all, it is the Carolina Panthers, who currently play at Bank of America Stadium. It is widely regarded as one of the worst stadiums in the NFL, and they are doing around an $800 million renovation. And get this, they said they're going to be planning for a new stadium in 2046. So basically, 22 years from now, and the renderings are just not impressive for this renovation. I think this is a very, very bad idea. The stadium is going to age horribly. You're going to invest almost $1 billion on what will be probably by the mid-2030s the worst stadium in the NFL, because we know the Commanders are going to be getting a new stadium as well, and a lot of these other teams. I just think this is a very dumb decision by the Carolina Panthers if they do go forward with this renovation. And it's not even like the renovation is that great, but the stadium in general is already really bad, with just two massive walls of seats, an unclosed exterior, as well as really no openings throughout the stadium. So there is that one as well. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.